Yesterday we talked about the Tush push, right? We wanted to find out what are they going to do in these meetings. Are they going to approve it, or are they going to go up against that? And there are teams. Green Bay Packers were one of the teams that said, "Hey, we got to get rid of this thing." Well, the problem for the Green Bay Packers was they didn't have enough of the teams willing to say that. They did have the numbers. They had 24 votes, and they were 22-10 in terms of, yes, we're going to take this thing and it's going to be ousted. But problem is they needed 24 votes. So the fact that they didn't get there, they're going to still be able to do the Tush push. A lot of people talking about that one. We figured we should at least give a little update since we teased that out there yesterday. The other thing I wanted to kick off with you, John, is the kickoff. And that's something that I think is interesting that they've decided to do this coming year. You can only do an onside kick. They make too many complicated rules. You can only do an onside kick if your team is trailing and it's in the fourth quarter. So, kind of making it complex. I guess that gives away the fact that, the surprise onsides are no longer out there, I guess, because I think people are going to probably figure out when they're going to be doing that, and they're going to probably have to tell the refs and everything else. The last thing I'll say about the NFL that I think is really kind of interesting, because a lot of the players don't get the opportunities to do things outside of the NFL, but they are allowing the players to be in the flag football that's going to be in the Olympics in 2028 out in Los Angeles, John. You know who first guy is who signed up? He said, if we can do it, I'm in. I want to get a gold medal. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings. He said, I'm first in line. Everybody can get behind me. I want to get a gold medal. So pretty cool, actually. And you got to love that there's that much excitement going on.
I just had to mute it because the Brightline announcements were coming in, Pete. But
of course,
yeah, I think this is a big deal. And I think that your Tush push vote, Pete, there was a lot of betting going on with the Tush push vote. There really was. All the predict exchanges were covering it. And just as we said yesterday, it was expected to not be banned. And indeed, it survives. So that's pretty interesting, along with the Justin Jefferson, of course. We love that. And I always love when Ant comes out and slaps him high five, along with J.J. McCarthy on courtside for the Timberwolves. That's pretty cool.
By the way, you know who was in Castro's? And it obviously wasn't Ray Lewis, because you were talking to him yesterday. But you know who was in there? Well, that quarterback you just mentioned from the Minnesota Vikings.
J.J.
Yeah. Just the other day. So we've got quite a few JJs here with the Minnesota Vikings, so it makes it kind of fun. John, next thing I got up for you is this. I think Shedeur Sanders should have paid more attention. We all know that he should have, but paid more attention when he was going to the draft, right? Or not even the draft. Going through all the different mechanics that they go through. They come and they do your own private workouts, all the rest of that. And he didn't put in the work and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of guys said, well, this guy's not a first pick kind of a quarterback. This guy's a little bit lower than that. I think he went a hell of a lot lower than anybody ever would have expected. No doubt about that. We all know that. But let me just give you some numbers on where he might have screwed up a little bit, John, by not paying attention. And when he went to the combines, he wasn't paying attention. A lot of teams talked about this. So here's the deal. Cam Ward was the first pick in the draft. Cam Ward just signed a 4-year, $48.7 million contract, John. $32 million of it is signing bonus, okay? First pick in the draft, Cam Ward out of Miami. Shedeur Sanders, 4 years, $4.6 million. If I'm not mistaken, he was making $4.6 million last year, or maybe even more than that, $6 million at Colorado. So it's a long ways for him. He's going to have to do a lot of catching up into the future, John, if he wants to kind of get anywhere in there. But it shows you the difference when you get in the NFL, a number 1 pick in Cam Ward or the number 144 pick, like what we were seeing with Shedeur Sanders. So just an amazing difference in how those numbers really get put together and where they are getting put together based upon where they were drafted and all the rest of it. The only other thing I wanted to throw out there for you, John, was it's really sad to see Irsay, 65 years old, drop dead for the Colts, man. I mean, the owner, dropped dead yesterday. Really sad. This guy had a lot of demons. There's no doubt in his past. He had issues. He was very upfront with that and some of the penalties that he had. But he had a great couple of runs. But one of his best, John, or actually his best, was the Super Bowl against the Chicago Bears with Tony Dungy at quarterback, or excuse me, at head coach, and Peyton Manning at quarterback, and they beat the Bears. That was pretty amazing. I mean, that to see the Colts get into that position and all the movement from Baltimore to Indianapolis, all the things that went on during all these years, really, really sad, because Irsay was one of those guys that the team loves him. He gets in the locker room and plays around with the guys, does a lot of crazy stuff, and I think he's probably one of the more well-liked owners probably in the entire league.
Yeah, and I love the way that some of his GMs in the past, Pete, would go after Mel Kiper and things like that, because Kiper would say, "What the hell kind of a draft pick is that?" But I would really highlight, Pete, what you were saying about Shedeur, because the rookie contracts, they have moved up. It used to be like 20 mil for 4 years with an option. And now, as Pete just said, with Cam Ward, 48 mil, and 40 of it was guaranteed. That's 10 times more than Shedeur's going to get over 4 years. So he should have paid more attention, and he should have probably been a stand-up guy instead of what he, acting like a prima donna. But that's the way it goes.